Hi there, beautiful souls watching. Thank you. I'm Gabrielle, retired medium in Germany, and I like to share some of my otherworldly experiences and insights. So, this one is about a spirit ringing a doorbell. Sounds quite funny, and was a very interesting client session I had with two wonderful souls. So, it came along quite harmlessly. I had these two clients, a mom and a daughter, and the daughter contacted me because they had this phenomena where their doorbell rang nearly every Sunday morning at 8 o'clock when they weren't even up ready for breakfast and so on. And it was quite disturbing. And when they went there was no one there, and they even had doorbell camera, and on the video as well, nothing, no one was to be seen. So they came with this question: who's ringing our doorbell? What's that about? Can you help us? And while they told me the story, I got the image of an elderly man with gray hair ringing the doorbell, and he was clearly deceased because he was kind of transparent as I saw him in front of my inner eye. And yeah, he just wanted to get their attention, was the feeling I got. And he felt like a male relative. And what struck me was that he looked a bit untidy, kind of an unkempt appearance. The shirt was hanging loose above the trousers, and the hair was hanging, and he seemed a bit unkempt. So I asked these two women who passed in the last time, some male relative, and we were kind of riddling about that. Sometimes it's hard to find out who it is because the deceased loved ones not always appear like you know them. And I have never seen that man. I didn't know. I only got he's a relative, he's male, and maybe above 60 or so because of the gray hair. Sometimes they appear even much younger. And so we couldn't find out who it was, but I also got the feeling that he's not there only for himself, that he wants something from them. He was there. I got this feeling of on behalf of something else, one of the two, the mother or the daughter, and it was some kind of a family issue or some family problem that he wanted to remind of and maybe help to find a solution or a healing or whatever. So I told them that, and we were thinking it might have been the grandfather, and they showed me online via Skype a photo of the grandfather, but it wasn't the grandfather. When I saw the photo, it was not the same man, and his whole appearance was totally different. He was strong and pure, and his clothing was totally he was well dressed, and I got the attitude that he would never let himself go like that, like the other one I saw on the doorbell. So we carried on, and I asked about is there any problem, family issues, something like an old wound, and they had already told me in an email before that the mother is kind of still suffering from a traumatic experience about a betrayal of relatives, and it was all about money and heritage. Unfortunately, that happens quite often. And this is so hard to take, if you invest yourself and then you are betrayed by your best friend or a relative, your own family, where you would never expect something like that, because we kind of grow up with this unconscious feeling that family sticks together and they are there to help and assist each other. So that was the old wound. And after they told me the story, I asked her how her stand today is with that issue. And the mom said, well, I don't really have a solution. I kind of buried it just deep down below, and I don't know what to do with it. I know I should forgive, but I don't feel ready for that. I can't forgive these relatives because it was just so shocking what they did just because of money and laying their hand on some heritage. It wasn't that much about the value of money, it was more the betrayal. And I got that all this buried energy from the old wound of the betrayal. There's always two: one who does the betrayal and the other one who allows it or can't help or cannot act differently or say no. So the whole thing plays out. And on a higher level, most often, although that's hard to swallow for us as humans, as egos, as personalities, most often souls make before birth a contract on the other side that they want to learn something we would think is horrible and painful and we would never choose, but the soul wants it for the growth and for the learning. So might well be that these relatives had kind of a contract to betray her so that she can make this experience, although doesn't feel good and no one wants it like that. Of course, that's normal. And so I reminded her that there might be a higher purpose. And if she cannot forgive them, okay, I can understand that. At least she should forgive herself for that she couldn't act differently or couldn't stand up for herself and say no to the whole thing. Because very often when we experience something like that, we kind of accuse ourselves. How could I be so stupid? Why did I not see the signs? And why had I to go into this whole drama or whatever? So you're even negative to yourself instead of showing compassion that you just didn't know better at that moment. And there is no point for accusing you because you did your best, what you thought was right, and it didn't work out. So, yeah, that happens, unfortunately. That's life, and we are here to learn to deal with these things without getting traumatized and to let go of these old things. And if you can't let go or forgive the other, then at least forgive yourself. And don't accuse yourself for what you couldn't do at the right moment. But now you're much wiser after the experience. We always know better, and sometimes we even get a glimpse of what it was for us to learn from that. So I offered to do some Ho'oponopono with her, to herself, for herself, to release all the blocked energy that she could use very good for her own life, and that's also blocked within the whole traumatic situation inside her own emotional field in the aura. So we did that, and she spoke with me the 4 steps, the 4 sentences of Ho'oponopono several times. And then even some tears started flowing, and that for me always is the good sign that something is coming in motion, because inside we are 70% of water, which is a conductor for frequency, energy, and vibration. And if something touches us deeply, there is a reaction of the body. There is goosebumps or tears coming, and we learn to decide or to discern between the good tears that bring relief and some kind of cathartic cleaning, And the so-called bad tears, although they are not bad, they are the trial to deal with something which is just very difficult and hard for us at the moment. But you know, there are tears when you feel this relief and you feel much lighter afterwards. And there are these tears that don't bring this feeling. So she had this reaction, and I was happy with that. And then we went on, and my spirits said that they wanted to work with the mum for the next 3 nights. So I asked her to go to bed not too late, not after 12 o'clock, and disturb their working on her, because the angels and spirits and souls can best work with us when we're sleeping, and our ego is not in the way, not doubting or interfering. So I told her that, and she also said, yeah, she's kind of very often tired and lacks energy, and that gave me the idea, so we can at least release her own energy so that she has more energy from this healed her part of the whole story, of this betrayal story, so that she can have more energy for her own life. So after we did that, that was very interesting. um, we had another contact, and the daughter wrote me that her mother, they were all two, both of them were quite sensitive, and that her mother sometimes get kind of akashic information about people she met. Not always, and it's not on her demand, it just happens. And they wrote me that they got, the mother got some information about me in her dream state. And they asked whether I want to know about that. And I said, oh, yeah, okay, of course. I'm curious. I want to know. So they wrote me that the mother in the dream saw the life of a young Southern American boy, an Indio boy, who was kind of special, and the whole tribe, he was living in the Amazon, already noticed that this boy is kind of special, so he became later on the shaman of the group, of the tribe, and even people from other tribes came to ask for advice and help and healing and whatever. And this young Indio child spent much time in nature, meditating on a rock near the river in the jungle, and was in contact with elemental beings and nature spirits and animals and so on. And you won't believe it, the funny thing, that's the confirmation. I was in another video wondering about my connections to shamanism, because I always felt attracted to shamanism. But when I asked this one shaman in my mediumship trainment, he said, well, you can make 100 workshops about how to become a shaman, but you are born a shaman or not. So I thought by myself, oh, I'm surely not born as a shaman, not in this life. But there was all this stuff, you know. A lot of my friends around me are shamans, and I'm interested in what they do and how they do it. So there is a connection. And in the year 2013, so quite a while ago, when I was in Brazil, I painted a painting during my time on college as a graphic designer. I was more into drawing, all these fine and precise little drawings with a pencil, and kind of photorealistic. And there in Brazil, for the first time, I really had the idea, oh, I want to paint. I want to paint on big canvas with a lot of colors, which I had never done before. And I painted because I was wondering what to paint. I painted something that I saw as an inner image for years and years in front of my inner eye. So I hope you can see it. This is what I painted. It's an Indian child in the middle of the jungle with two birds around and a lot of foliage and a blue butterfly from Brazil and a rainbow and some fairies that are here and there and flowers that are throwing some gold powder or dust like fairies do. So that was my painting I did in Brazil. And I thought, I'm just painting inspired from Brazil because I love the jungle and the nature and the Indios and everything and shamanism. I'm just painting an Indian child. Wasn't even sure whether it's a boy or a girl. I thought it was a girl. And I painted this and I didn't get what it meant. I got it later. Now I get it. And just because I was kind of a little bit proud of myself that I painted with big canvas and colors, I emailed this photo to 2 or 3 friends of mine. And one, she was an energetic healer. She tested the image, whether it was emitting healing energy. I could have never come up with that idea. And she wrote me back, it's even out of the scale. I normally test between 1 and 10, and it's 27, so it's over the scale. And there's a lot of healing energy coming from this picture. Whoa, I didn't know that. I was wondering. And another friend said, writing back in an email, that's you. The child in the middle is you. And I looked at the child and didn't know. So then, what the mom had shared about this life of a shaman boy in the Amazon jungle made perfectly sense with this picture I had drawn already years before. That was a picture from exactly that life, you know. I was the shaman boy and I didn't know what I was painting. Isn't that funny how confirmation comes our way when we really need that? So I was so happy to get that confirmed, although I was already kind of tending into that direction. And then we talked a little bit about painting and this state that you're really forgetting about yourself. You don't feel hunger or thirst, you're just painting. And there's no thought, there's just painting, you know, as if it paints through you. And the daughter was also into painting. And there was a funny thing. One of the sequences, the mother got 2 sequences, one of this former life as a shaman and another one which seemed to be a future vision of a future life or whatever. And that vision ended with the image of an eagle. And I'm also on another kind of thread looking into symbology and what's the meaning of all these animals and so on. But the thing is, the daughter started painting something for me, and she thought she would paint the eagle as kind of the animal of power, because one vision, the one about the future, ended with the image of an eagle. And then the next day, before she started to paint the picture for me, she saw my video about this shamanic connections and where I told about the animal of power that I found in a shamanic guided meditation or shamanic journey in a chest, in a treasure chest in a cave. And it was a big, tall, brown grizzly bear. And the funny thing is, she wanted to paint the eagle, but out came a bear. And I'm going to show it to you. What wonderful picture she drew for me. There is the shaman, and she also got that the shaman always loved to smoke. And now I know why I'm still smoking. And isn't that wonderful? You know, the connection with the nature, the flowers, the shaman, and the smoke, and then above him, this wonderful animal of power, the bear. So, wonderful things are happening if you open up and start talking sometimes with the right people, and you get confirmation back, and they got confirmation from me. And the next thing that happened in 3 episodes, like to be continued, like a TV series in the movie or on TV set, in a third interaction, because it kind of nagged on me that we couldn't find out who was ringing the doorbell. We thought it might have been the one relative who was in the betrayal or the grandfather, but when they showed me the picture of the grandfather, a photograph, I said, no, it wasn't him. So I wrote an email again to them and asked whether the doorbell ringing on Sunday mornings, 8 o'clock, had stopped or whether it occurred again. And I was still kind of wondering, who was it? It's a male relative. And then when we had the next contact, they sent me via email a photograph of the mom's husband and the daughter's father. And when I saw that picture, I knew that's the man I saw. And then they came up with a little bit of a sad story because the father became sick or something like that. And they had to give him into care. And then COVID happened, and a lot of these care facilities were overwhelmed, and the family wasn't allowed to visit and care for their relatives. And the staff of these facilities kind of neglected also the inhabitants. So they were shocked when they, after a long period where they weren't allowed to see the father and the husband, when they came to the facility and saw him kind of really neglected. He wasn't well cared, he wasn't well dressed, and lost weight and felt kind of unhappy and was lonely, and it wasn't the nicest time he had experienced there. So when I saw this photo, I knew, oh, it was him. And first he came on behalf of his beloved wife to help heal her old wound so that she can carry on much more happy and happier now with her life, and the daughter as well. And okay, so now when they told me about the father and what had happened to him during COVID time in this care facility, that he kind of degraded and was neglected, and shortly after that he transitioned, and they felt a little bit of guilty, although it wasn't their fault. They couldn't have done anything because nearly in every country they restricted the access to these facilities, even for the own family members, which was kind of not very nice, you know. Okay, because that's what the elderly people needed and profited the most of, you know, the contact with their loved ones, with their family that comes visiting every week or every weekend, so on. Okay, so when they told me about the father and the husband, one person, the same, I saw a picture and I saw that he was kind of clinging to the earth, and out of his fingers that were down to the earth were coming white rays of light which clung and bound him to the earth. And it felt as if he, with kind of might and losing a lot of energy by that and getting weaker and weaker, he tried to cling to earth. And I got the feeling he was thinking, I love my family, I love my husband, I love my wife, I love my daughter. I don't want to leave them alone, even if I transitioned and left my body and now I'm in my subtle bodies, my astral or whatever. If I go into the light, I'm going to lose them and cannot come back. So I better stay here and hang around with them. Maybe I can help them and watch over them. So that is a quite common misunderstanding people on this side and sometimes even the spirits on the other side have, because there's not enough knowledge about what really happens when you transition and all these phases you go through and so on. And also some false teachings, because he thought if he went to heaven, he would lose his family and couldn't come back. That's not the case. And when I got that, I told him, no, no, it's not like that. If you go into the light, then you are free and you can come back and come and go as you like. But now you are clinging to them, which honors you because of your love for them, but you're bonding yourself to earth and you're getting weaker and weaker and you lose your energy because you only have the energy that's left after you're transitioning on this side, the energy from this side. So if you go into the light, I can promise you, you will be free to come and go whenever you want. And now you're unfree because you're clinging and staying and stucking around here. When he got that, he moved off. I called, of course, what I always do when I encounter a stuck soul. I called Archangel Michael and Raphael to accompany him into the light, back to the light, source, home, heaven, however you want to call that. And while he was accompanied by the angels lifting him up, I already saw his energy changing. He got more and more white light and was getting stronger and brighter. So all this kind of unkemptness which I had perceived before left him. And he was not in kind of accusation or something, because mother and daughter, of course, asked me, so what's he thinking about his time, his last time, the said 3 years in the care facility when we weren't allowed to visit him and care for him. And I just told them, he knows it's not your fault. Be free. He wants you free and happy because he loves you. And what do you want if you love another one? You want that person free, happy, healthy, and everything fine. That's the only thing you really want. Even if you have no longer a body to embrace the persons you love. And so he was well and everything was fine. And I could relieve these two wonderful women from their false feelings of guiltiness or whatever, And he was fine with them. And he even told me then, yes, I wanted their attention because I always loved our Sunday morning breakfast coffees, where we sat around the family on the table and we were talking about interesting things and listening to nice music. And it was always a kind of very long breakfast where we enjoyed life and Sunday morning. And I said, oh, you can have that with them whenever you want, no problem. Just please don't ring at 8 o'clock, it's very early. And I will tell them to invite you to the Sunday morning coffee when they are ready. Might be 9 o'clock or a little bit later, who knows. You don't have to ring the bell. They know now that it was you and that you want more contact, and maybe even help them from the other side. Because on the other side, one already sees a little bit more than we from this side. So a passed over relative can become quite easily a spirit guide or a helper from the other side. And that's what he wanted to do. That's kind of the job he signed up for, and that was the preparation to bring them to that. So that was interesting, and I really liked the whole story because of all the wondrous ways, sideways, by which they got some confirmation and I got some confirmation, and we both had the win win situation. We were just happy, and they still are, of course, not they were, they are beautiful souls, and I really loved to be useful for them. So that was my story of the ghost ringing the doorbell Sunday morning, 8 o'clock. A client session that turned out with a lot of wondrous changes and switches along the way. So I hope you can get something out of this. I want to leave you with that. Have a wonderful time. Blessings, love, and light. Beautiful souls on your soul path. Bye.